Thanks to Squarespace for making this video possible and for helping launch my new mustard store. More on that after this video. In the midst of the Cold War, two MiG-25s raced to intercept the threat along the Soviet border.
Ooh, that's kind of small.
They're the fastest interceptors ever built, and if they really push their engines, they can reach an incredible Mach 3.2. But it's not enough, because what they're chasing can outrun and outclimb any threat.
That's quite big. Impressive.
A plane engineered to be invulnerable.
Let's get it. All right. You guys had to sit through that. Yeah, 15 seconds. I mean, it's not that long of time. MiG-25. That was the first plane you saw. You know, you're not dumb, I think. And, of course, the SR-71 Blackbird, you know, for aviationists like myself. Two of the most, you know, well-known planes in the industry. You know, some of the fastest jets in the world, both Mach 3 capable. But that's not really what I'm here to tell you about. So let's get into my presentation. All right, I'm going to take you guys way back to the 50s, where it's the early days of the Cold War, and spying technology is, you know, at a breakthrough. You know, for centuries, spies had been these cloaked figures, or the people you'd least expect, and basically they get behind enemy lines, learn as much as they can, write it down, memorize it, then they'd run back. Or the primary spy plane used by the United States in the Cold War was the U-2 spy plane. Now, this plane was neither fast nor stealthy, but it relied on the anticipated Soviet radar predictions. Now, I'm going to flip you guys over to that. And this was an estimate. So, what we can see is at 70,000 feet, the Lockheed U-2, our spy plane, the MiG-19, and I'm not even going to try and pronounce what that says, so we just call them MiGs. But they could only fly to 50,000 feet. And so the U-2 flying at 70,000 feet, 20,000 feet is a good distance. You know, you want that for an aircraft. And Soviet surface-to-air missiles, also referred to as SAMs, they can only go up to 60,000 feet from what we could see. So basically, we thought the U-2 was invulnerable. We thought it was, you know, never going to get shot down. The president even was assured that no U-2 would be shot down. But unfortunately, this was proven incorrect when a U-2 spy plane was shot down by a Soviet surface-to-air missile, also known as SAMs, like I said earlier, in 1960. That was the Francis Gary Powers incident, and some of us learned about that in the Cold War class last year with Dr. Shayway. Now, MiG fighter jets were the primary Soviet interceptor jets. Now, those jets would intercept incoming threats, you know, such as, you know, bombers. Cut. We are back. So, Soviet defenses, including, you know, surface-to-air missiles referenced in the previous slide. There were also MiG fighter jets, and MiG fighter jets were some of the most advanced jets in the world at the time. The MiG-25 Foxbat, which is shown right here, could even go to Mach 3, which is around 2,500 miles an hour, but only for limited amounts of time, so minutes at a time at most. And then we come to the big bad boy, the SR-71 Blackbird, the king of the spies, or skies, whichever one you want to call it. Fastest aircraft ever built in the world. First ever flight was 1966, constructed in 1963, and this, to this day, 2022, about to be 2023, is the fastest plane ever built. This behemoth could cruise at Mach 3.3, 2,532 miles an hour for hours at a time. Now, to put that in perspective, the MiGs, like I said, could go Mach 3 for minutes at a time, 2 minutes maybe. Then I'd have to drop down to around Mach 2.5, 2-ish. So basically, this thing could outfly, outrun, and just beat everything. The surface-to-air missiles would go around Mach 2, maybe, but this thing would easily outfly anything. And it was pretty stealthy, too. In fact, when this thing was first flown over Vietnam, nobody really knew what it was. You know, the Soviets didn't realize if their radar, what it was. They thought their radar was broken, but it, in fact, was not. Because at the time, nobody thought that something that high would fly that fast for that amount of time. Many people actually thought it was UFOs, which sparked many early UFO theories. But no, it was the biggest and the best aircraft ever built. And now we gotta go into the human factor. So I've told you all about these big, bulky, metal, behemoth machines. They sound unkillable, but unfortunately, when it comes to the human factor, as you can see on screen right now, human error plagues crashes. No SR-71 Blackbird was ever lost on a mission, but mechanical errors and takeoff problems lost more than a third of them in their service times. Now, many spy planes were hyper efficient, but many of them risked multiple human lives, which isn't very good. And an SR-71 once disintegrated around a pilot during an accident, which was terrible, but both pilots did survive, which is really good. And now we're gonna head to the beginning of the space race. Now, the space race began August 2nd, 1955. That was way before most of us. There might be 2 of us in the room that have ever, met somebody from 1955. But the Soviets were the first in space. They launched Sputnik 1, but America was the first on the moon. We launched Apollo 11, which, as we all know, landed on the moon. Or it didn't. Some of us still believe it didn't. I guess. I mean, that doesn't really make any sense. I mean, they brought back literal rocks from the moon. Or did they? Oh God, have we been lied to? What if they just brought back rocks from Antarctica? Oh. Sorry, I just had a mental breakdown. But this began a whole new chapter for spying technology, as what was once thought to be an impossible feat, we now had access to the outer atmosphere, which means if we put something in orbit, there's no touching it. And we're going to go over the first spy satellites. And both the United States and the Soviets wanted to establish a presence in outer space. But the first ever spy satellite was made by the United States, and it was called, and I'm not even kidding, Corona. Yeah, that's the actual name. But it operated from August 1960 until May 1972. Had no correlation with the drink or the virus. But it was the first man-made object to ever be recovered from orbit. So the fact that we launched something into space and it took photos and we got it back was just awesome. And from one thing to another, UAVs could pretty much be piloted from the other side of the world. I could be over in Atlanta and be wreaking havoc in Shanghai. They could be piloted with way much more control and photo accuracy, which gave them a much better combat rating than, today's, fighter jets, which cost millions and millions of dollars to maintain. And gave a much better hands-on experience to U.S. Central Command, based in Washington, D.C. If they wanted to, they could access any drone footage from anywhere at any time. And there is a downside. With UAVs and spy satellites comes a lot less privacy. As we know from Edward Snowden, the CIA and Homeland Security can access your phone camera at any time without warning and see anything they want to. And when it comes to drones, some drone strike missions have been known to miss and hit civilians. Drone strikes have been known to kill low-value targets and create more terrorists, as we saw from Joe earlier today. However, it's not earlier today, you guys' time, because I'm currently in the past. Time travel. And, but with the drones and the UAVs, comes some, bonuses that do save lives. Unmanned vehicles have more room for maneuverability, so if you're in an F-22 Raptor and you're going 800 miles an hour and you decide to pull up sharply, well, you're going to be feeling probably about 5 to 7 Gs, which, is not very good. It's very hard for pilots to not pass out when they're pulling all those Gs. And when it comes to drones, they often, if they get shot down, they most of the technology has self-destruct protocols, so it will not fall into enemy hands, whereas with self-destruct technology, it would be highly immoral to put self-destruct technology inside a vehicle that is manned by. Going with drones and spy satellites removes many of the humans. So instead of having human-on-human conflict, majority of the times we have unmanned drone and unmanned satellite spying to learn more information. So I believe, with all the information put on the table, that the newer technology makes the spying moral. Thank you for listening to my shenanigans. Landry, can you go ahead and say thank you to the audience? Okay, he's just licking my hand. I'm pretty sure I'm playing the video after this, so I'm just gonna go ahead and cut over to that. I think he's hungry, so I better feed him before he eats me. Are you gonna eat me? Oh God.